Hi, everybody. This is Amy with friEdTechnology, and we're here tonight to talk about Screencastify. So thanks for joining in. You guys who know us and have come to professional development with us probably know that it is one of our favorite tools of all time. And we recently, just this week, announced our official partnership with Screencastify. So it's really exciting to us to get to share this with you for the first time as an official partner and to get to give you some offers that we couldn't really do before. So now we're going to be able to tell you some ways that you can get a free Screencastify subscription. And we've also just all been really studying up on Screencastify so that we can make sure that we tell you everything awesome that it does and leave nothing out. So let me introduce everybody who's here with us tonight, and then we will get you to the agenda. So I'm going to start with Melissa Summerford, who is a GT person and teacher in Magnolia ISD. Melissa, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And then I will move over to Jessica Powell, who is an instructional technology specialist in Cypress Fairbanks ISD. Say hi, Jessica.
Hello, Jessica.
And then you guys probably all know Techie Carrie Orts, who is a full-time member of the friEdTechnology team, and she knows the Miss America wave, so it's pretty impressive too.
And professional fisherwoman, remember that one too.
Yes, I'm sorry, I always forget.
Yeah, I know.
That's just crazy talk to not talk about the fishing. So I am going to screen share, and I'm going to share the awesome agenda that these ladies have made. And so you guys can join us here. It has comment access, so if you have anything to add, please feel free to do that. And so you'll get there with our handy short URL, and it is fried.tech/taco capital T, Bout capital B, Screencast capital S, and agenda capital A. And Carrie, looks like, good job, Carrie. Carrie has already put it over into the chat on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube and you have your video maximized, just restore that down and you'll be able to see it. We can't put URLs into the YouTube chat, which is really annoying, but we can put the short URL over there and you guys can copy and paste it. Thanks so much to you guys who are joining us tonight. Scott, Efren, Patricia, Sharon, we love seeing your names and knowing that you guys are going to be here when we broadcast, and it really makes it so much more fun and authentic to see you guys out there and know you're joining live. And remember, if you're tweeting while you're doing this, tell your friends. If they're here during the end of this webinar, everybody's going to be able to get that 1 hour CPE credit from us too. And that is official state of Texas credit, which should be honored in other states as well, one would assume. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave this agenda up for just a second. I'm going to move back in just a sec to the link right there. But I want to point out to you as I scroll down that there's a section right here called Getting Started with Screencastify. Now, kind of ironically, I cannot actually show you how to use Screencastify during tonight's webinar because we cannot broadcast the use of Screencastify. It's like a video inside a video, which won't work. But there are 2 videos that looks like Carrie has posted here. These are YouTube videos you'll be able to pull up and get the basics of Screencastify. And then Carrie, will you go ahead and talk about the Screencastify challenge real quick while we just make sure we've got everybody to that agenda?
Sure. The Screencastify challenge is our partnership with Screencastify, and we thought we would do a fun little 12 days of Christmas challenge. And the cool thing is they're all posted on Screencastify's website, and you can also find them on all of our social media. So if you just now are seeing it, that's okay. You can totally start now. All of the directions are at that link for you. Some of them are like take a picture in your favorite ugly sweater. Some of them are take a picture with your administrator when you tell them about Screencastify. And there's all kinds of fun prizes to win, like stickers and some free Screencastify memberships. So definitely go check out that link and then start tweeting and sharing away on social media so you can be entered to win.
Yes, that's a great explanation. You also could potentially win from us some places in online classes that we have coming up and vouchers for a Google test. So definitely do not miss that. And the ultimate grand prize is a year of free Screencastify, which is pretty valuable. So it's totally worth like putting out a couple of tweets, I think. All right, hopefully everybody has made it to our agenda by now. And I am ready to turn it over to Melissa. So Melissa, will you please talk to us a little bit about how principals and school leaders can use Screencastify so that everybody does not have to stay after school?
Okay, well, I'll talk about it like how some of the principals I know have used it. Well, the one that I worked at Bear Branch, Holly Ray was the first one to use it, and she used it. She used Screencastify, and she talked about her agenda, and then she had some articles that she wanted us to read, and this made the faculty meeting so much shorter because we knew about the article, so we went in, we were able to talk about it quickly without everyone stopping. Okay, read this article, because we already knew what the article said, so it was a big time saver for us. So I was so excited when she decided to do that. She didn't do everyone like that, but she did a few. So that was awesome to see her taking that and trying it, because it was new. It was a risk, you know. She tried it with us.
Go Holly! That's so awesome that she did.
I know.
And
yeah,
that's your principal I got to meet last Christmas.
Yes,
when I was in the classroom.
that is her.
Cool lady. Yeah,
Yes.
it's so great. When I was working at the village school, Cindy Prosky, who's the middle school principal there, did that same thing and really stepped out on a limb and tried it. And it was very successful for her. She gained a lot of confidence with her own technology skills. And people really liked having a shorter meeting because they got all of that background stuff, all that one-way stuff before the meeting started. So
yes, they are
happy.
Another friend of mine has started doing it. She's a principal at another school at Williams. Her name is Kelly Jones, and she's doing it with her faculty as well. And she's told me that it saves so much time, and that teachers are excited to already know what the faculty meeting is going to be about before they get there. So she's taken on, and you're right, it does get them more excited to use different technology, because she is just like taken off with it this year.
What were you going to say, Jessica? Did you chime in something we missed?
I just was going to ask Melissa how she sends it to her staff. Does she do it through Google Drive? Does she post it to YouTube?
I think she puts it in a Google Drive and she shares it with them like that.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, you could even plop that link into an email and just send the email out. If you had a pre-made staff list, it'd probably be even easier.
Or if you had a site for your staff.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yes. And you could, hopefully someday you'll actually be able to even only share that site with your staff, right? I mean, you could already only share the video with your staff, but eventually we're going to have site permissions back again. That's going to be really great. So I am going to talk about the next thing, and you probably couldn't stop me if you wanted to, and that is recording your screen and making tutorials. I think I've probably made no bones about the fact that I'm a big fan of this. It's really how I started out my career in instructional technology. I just got really intrigued with the idea that, you know, I had all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of teachers to help when I was an instructional technology coordinator in Conroe ISD. And a lot of people wanted my attention and time, which was awesome, but I didn't have enough of it. And so I started with a tool called Jing. Does everybody remember Jing?
I do. It was
back in the day. Yeah, it was a TechSmith product, and it was a free tool, and that's how I started. And I made hundreds and hundreds of videos with Jing. And so when Screencastify came along, of course, it's just so much easier than any other tool ever has been before. So making tutorials, giving directions, I mean, it's really core for me. It's really a huge part of what I do. And I want to say something about that, because I know everybody knows you can use this to do Screencastify. But what I want everybody to remember and internalize is, do not even try to make a perfect screencast. For one thing, there's no such thing. And for another thing, if you go to our YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure the video there that has the most views of any video is one of the lowest production value videos that I've ever made. And it's because people wanted the topic. They didn't care whether it was fancy or cool or had good lighting or whatever. They just needed to know something. So focus on that. If you stumble or say or whatever, just keep going. You don't have to start over every time that happens. You're a person, and if somebody says something rude on YouTube, just delete it. That's what I do. People say rude things to me sometimes on YouTube. Like, bye, you know, block. You can't talk to me anymore, because if you don't want to know, don't watch it. And if you do, you'll watch the video. So we all got to get over ourselves. We're educators, and we got to just do it. Just make the video. So there.
What's so funny is that in class, you don't think about how you sound to other people. In meetings, you don't think about how you sound to other people.
You're right.
You mess up all the time.
That's so true.
And your voice isn't annoying to them like it is to yourself.
No, it's only And another thing teachers tell me all the time, they're like, well, I hate making videos because I don't want to turn the camera on because I'm looking down into it like this. Okay, I have a major moment for everyone watching tonight. Have you ever thought about the fact that every single student you ever taught in your entire career, the angle they looked at you at every day, all day long, was this one right here, which is the worst possible angle. I mean, anybody pick up your cell phone, do a selfie, looking down.
Not good.
No, it's like this. This is how we do it. But unless you're going to make all your kids stand up while you sit down every day, they've already seen it. We all live through it. So
you're right. I used to worry about messing up making those videos, and I would start over. It would take me like an hour, and I was like, this is taking so long. I'm just going to go with it. And the kids will tell you, Miss Summer, you made a mistake. I caught that. I'm like, I'm glad. I know you watched it now.
Yes. Good.
You're like, I'm human.
That's what you tell them. I was just testing you to see if you were really
That's
watching.
right.
It's elementary, because middle schoolers, they aren't that nice about it.
No. I love it when you get your hair cut and you're in a middle school classroom and you come in and they're like, Miss, what did you do to your hair? It's not, did you get a haircut or you changed your hair? What did you do to your hair?
Yeah.
Thanks, kids. Thanks. All right, Jess, I focused the camera over on you because you are next, and I cannot wait to hear you talk about this. Subplans, bane of every teacher's existence.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so background information is I taught middle school, and Amy was an administrator in my district way back in the day. And she used to have to do a required substitute day, and she always liked coming to my class because I used that tool that she mentioned earlier, Jing, that kind of that older version of the TechSmith tools, and it allowed you to make 10-minute videos. Well, Screencastify, by the way, gives you a lot more time, and it's a lot easier to make because you don't have to download the stinking software on your old stoner computer that's not working. But what you can do when you're going to be out to plan ahead, or just to keep your kids on track so you don't have to lose the ground that you normally lose when you have a substitute, is you can record your lessons and plug them into your subplans. So if you're using Classroom or Schoology, or, I mean, I think I'm using Moodle back in the day and it still worked out just fine. So you just record yourself teaching parts of the lesson, attach it as a video link to your lesson plan or to your document, and ask your students to watch the videos as they go through. And then your substitute, really, honestly, Amy can tell you, has a cake job because you've done all the teaching and they just have to monitor.
It is the truth. And I always subbed in Jessica's classroom. She didn't tell you the part I thought she was going to tell you, but it's okay. I won't make her. We're on film.
I always thought that I was Amy's teacher in high school. And, you know, I didn't know Miss Powell was being a teacher.
And I said, yes, she was. Thank you for asking.
That was her friend right there.
Well, truth bomb right there. Kids are stupid. They don't understand anything about age. Don't feel bad. That's really not you. All right. I love this one too. And I don't know if I'm the first person to do it or not, but I did write a blog article about it a really long time ago, back when I was using Jing. And I also used this technique of giving students feedback using video a really long time ago. I think before anyone else did it, but again, I can't be sure. But I was teaching a college class at the time. I was teaching a class here at our local junior college at Lone Star College. And I tried this technique with my English students. Really, the truth is, I gave them feedback this way because I wanted to save time. I didn't know whether it was going to be any more effective or even whether it would save time, but it did. Once I got the technique down, even with the older tools that were much more time consuming to use, it took about 1/5 of the time to give feedback on a student essay using video as it did, you know, actually either writing or even leaving comments on a Google Doc. But what was really profound about it was that when I started leaving video comments for my students to look at. They were actually listening to the feedback. And before then, I felt like I was spending all this time writing on student papers and they weren't even looking at what I wrote. I mean, they weren't learning anything from all of that time I was putting in. And I thought, why am I doing this? You know, like it's not for my health that I'm writing all this stuff and the kids aren't listening to it. So the second time that I handed papers back or told the kids your papers are ready, you can pull them up, there's feedback there. They were like, Miss Mayer, did you do the video thing? And I said, yeah, you know, I did. I didn't really know they'd cared about it the first time. And they were putting in earbuds and they were pulling up those videos and they were listening, and I could see them rewinding and going back over parts again. And I thought, this is really profound. Was the first time in my whole teaching career I ever saw kids paying that much attention to writing feedback. Yes, were you able to use that technique in your classroom?
Yes, I was. And you know what was so great for me is that every day when I would give writing feedback to my students on their documents or when they gave each other writing feedback, it never failed. Even if I told them this is going to be worth 100,000 points tomorrow and you have to have it in class, they would leave. And doggone it, they would leave their papers on the floor. I would see things in the trash can. I would watch them shove it in their backpack knowing that it was never going to come back to school. And it was just like all the air out of your balloon, right? Yeah. But when you leave it digitally like this, it's inexcusable.
Yes, it does. It does. I'm taking some classes through Lamar, and our professors do that. And just watching them screencast and leaving me that feedback and going through my document, it is powerful because I do feel like they actually look through it, and they're going with it with me.
It's probably a lot more motivating to do your work.
It is. It is.
Going to get feedback that way. Okay, well, I'm gonna tell an embarrassing story about myself because hopefully it will help someone else. I like I said, I mean, really, this was years and years ago. I did this for the first time, and I never thought about this way to get the link to the kids until, I don't know, probably within the last year. And maybe you're all going to go, well, duh, you know, of course that's the way you do it. But I'm going to show you anyway, because even if there's just one person out there who hasn't thought of this. So let's say that you've made the video. So you use Screencastify and you have made the feedback video. So this is my Screencastify library, and I'm just going to open one up and we're just going to pretend that it is the video. So what I was doing before this was doing things like emailing them the link or making a short URL and putting it somewhere or whatever, which I know it's not that smart, but anyway. So this is what I just realized recently. I could just go right here to copy link and then pretend this is the student's paper. I could just go right to the paper and I could just Control V right there in the paper and hit the space bar, and it turns into a hyperlink. That's it. I mean, am I dumb for not having thought of that before?
No.
No, I haven't thought about that.
That took me a long time to think of that one. I mean, if you want to make it pretty, of course, you know, you can highlight some text and you could use the insert link and paste the hyperlink to the video in there. And it looks a lot prettier. But I mean, you know, I'm trying to teach people the fastest way possible to do things, and the fastest way possible is just to paste that link in there. So,
or if you're using Classroom and you have the grade view where the paper's in the middle and you got the sidebar with like the place to leave private comments, you could just paste the link right there in a private comment as well.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah. That'd probably be even faster if you're using Classroom.
Well, you know, and another thing is kids don't always have access to a computer. Still in 2018, they don't, but it seems like they always have access to their phone. And so the videos play from any device, you know, especially a phone. And so they can have their paper in front of them listening on their phone and they never miss a beat. They don't have to go pull a computer out and start it up, boot it up and wait for it. They already have the access.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, sure
that is so true.
Yes, great idea. All right, awesome. Let us move on. I think we are talking about Carrie. Carrie is
Yeah, this is a perfect segue because we were just talking about this.
Yes.
So I know that when I was teaching, and if I had a kiddo that needed to have oral administration for a test, that kid usually had to leave the room, and then they didn't have me to help them if they had any questions on the test. And then sometimes if they were testing in a small group, and so they would have like 5 kids, and each kid would have to wait and listen to the same question being read over and over again. And maybe if they were ready to go on, they couldn't because they're having an oral administration in a group. So with Screencastify, so you open up your Google Doc, which is your test. You quickly read all the questions and the answer choices in a screencast. And then, like Amy said, you put that link on the Google Doc for them. They pop in some earbuds in the classroom and they can rewind, they can pause, they can go back and watch it as many times as they need to take the test. I think this is awesome because I always hated it when my kids had to leave the room to take a test because if they had questions, they didn't have me there. So this is a great way to, I can't ever say the word right, differentiation.
That's good. Good job.
Yeah. So I think it's a great way. And then they don't feel like they're leaving the room and like they're an outcast or whatever. So they can either, like Jessica said, they could have it on their phone where they could just listen to it on their phone, or you could have them do it at a computer, either way. So I think it's a great way to use Screencastify.
Yeah, I agree. And, secondary students, I mean, you guys all know this. They don't want to leave the room and go somewhere else. That's embarrassing. I mean, it's drawing attention to something that's different, and no teenage kid wants to do that. So this is really better for so many different reasons. Yeah, I'm glad you thought to talk about that. All right, Jessica, I love this one, and I really, really wish that my kids' teachers would have had this when they were in elementary school. So please do talk about using it for parents.
Yeah, so I'm glad that this is so great. This is all kismet. It's working out perfectly. We just went totally to this place, and so Misha and Joey and Sharon and Susan have all been throwing out some ideas in the chat about using Screencastify to connect with kids that are out, parents about curriculum issues or about things that are happening at school. And sometimes, we had in our district, everybody in the whole state had new math teaks a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was just madness. The parents were just freaking out, and the kids were freaking out, and the teachers their hair was on fire. It was horrible. And really, honestly, what really kind of squelched everything and brought everybody back down to room temperature was having face-to-face meetings. But in our district, we literally have hundreds of thousands of students. So we don't have the luxury of meeting every parent face-to-face whenever it's convenient for us or them. And so using Screencastify to record messages that can go home, to record teachable concepts that we can send home so mom and dad can watch it and then help Johnny with his homework, that really made such a difference. And so we ended up actually using Screencastify and Google Sites. We built a parent website, and then we had the math coaches and the math teachers teaching the concepts, like using the window pane method to solve a problem, which I still don't understand. But we put these videos out there. We sorted them by standards, by teaks, and the parents were able to go to this kind of this hub to get the information. And it just took so much stress off of people's backs, and it made things a lot more manageable for the teacher in the long run. And for the kids, I think they got, not only did they have these tutorials in place, but the parents could go watch. The parents could sit with their kids, because thankfully we did have a lot of parents who needed that. And honestly, I think it alleviated a huge stressor that we probably otherwise would have suffered with for a lot longer.
Well, and I think you get those parents that are like, y'all don't teach math the way that I learned it, so I can't help my kids.
Yep, this is the new math.
Yeah, y'all are crazy. I don't know how you're teaching math these days. I wish I would have done this when sorry about the accent, kind of came out.
That was impressive.
So, I think this would be a great way to kind of ease the parents' fears. Like, hey, this is how we're doing math. It's better than the way you learned. It's easier for everyone. And here's a quick tutorial that you can rewatch 100 times if you need to.
Well, I used to, in class, I would be doing great in class. I totally understood what my math teacher was talking about. I was in that weird space where I was in advanced everything, including math, but I really shouldn't have been in advanced math. And I was really embarrassed. I didn't like my classmates to know I totally had no idea what was happening. And so I would go home, and I honestly, guys, I would sit at the table at night and just cry because I didn't understand how to do my homework. And my mom quit school in the 8th grade or 9th grade. And so she didn't have any ideas of how to help me. And she was really at a loss. And both my parents just wished they could help, but they couldn't. If they had access to videos like this and we had access to sit together and watch them, my level of academic achievement in math would have been so different.
Me too.
Yeah, I hear you.
For me too. Yeah.
I totally get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Jessica. It's really great ideas. And I do remember that kind of crisis period that you guys had. I didn't really know that was the solution for it. So it's very interesting. And I like too, I mean, another part of that solution you didn't really focus on, but that was in there was that it wasn't every teacher making every video. It sounds like it was people came together and there was one video about the concept. They picked maybe the best one or something like that so that every teacher didn't have to replicate all that work.
That is what happened.
Yeah. Awesome. And that is a lot of work.
It is. It is a lot of work. I mean, if you can get together with other people on your team or in your district and create something like that, I mean, you could use it year after year and it'd really make a big difference. All right. I'm real interested, Melissa, to hear about the Wacom tablet and what you're doing with that and Smart Notebook mashed together.
Okay. Well, it goes along exactly what Jess was talking about. It was the time of, okay, the new math. That's what I was getting from parents. And so, in order to solve that, I use Smartboard in my classroom. And so I run my lessons through Smartboard. And then I started thinking, well, how can I start screencasting or, send home tutorials for parents so that way they'd understand what we were doing in class. So I did some research and I found the Wacom tablet because I can hook it up, and I put it in the link too, so you can look. I paid about $70 on Amazon, but it's a way for me to plug it into my computer and I can annotate in Smartboard, because you know how you have all those features, all those tools? Mm-hmm. Well, it works as, I can write on my Smartboard as I'm annotating for the video. So I put those in Google Classroom and the parents were able to see those videos and also make comments on those along with the kids. If they had a misunderstanding about a certain part of the problem we were going through, and even other kids were able to comment on the video as well. And so I really knew the next day what the kids, what questions the kids were coming in with because they were able to watch that video. But parents did appreciate me making those videos for them. But
cool. Very cool. I never thought about using those two devices together like that, but that makes a lot of sense. And it's probably a lot easier to write with that Wacom tablet than it is to try to stand up, be close to a microphone, write on the Smartboard, record.
Yes.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to plug it in and you just open up your Smart Notebook and screencast.
Great idea. Love that. Thank you for sharing. All right, Carrie, talk to us about explaining with manipulatives.
Okay, so I don't know if we know this or not, but with Screencastify, you can do webcam only where it records just your whole screen, kind of what y'all are seeing right now. And so sometimes when we're teaching, we have to use manipulatives. We have to show our kids stuff that's made out of paper maybe. And so Screencastify, using that webcam only, you can actually pull out paper and pencils and you can actually maybe flip your camera if you have a folding Chromebook like I have. And you can screencast everything that you're doing with your hands with paper and pencils. And so it's another way to kind of do math. You can also maybe like if you're showing time with a clock, with a handmade paper clock, it's just a great way to show paper. And sometimes we forget that Screencastify and paper do smush well together. So just having that ability to flip your camera, show paper, show the parents maybe the methods that you use to use different manipulatives that they maybe send home with their kiddos. So I think that sometimes we forget paper does work with Screencastify. And then we also talked earlier about this a little bit with the beginning of the year, like open house. I unfortunately missed the first 3 days of school one year because I was doing an awesome training at a school district. And so my kids had no idea what I looked like. And I was like, well, I have to show them what I look like so they know what they're missing and who to look for when I finally do show up. So I just made like a 1-minute Screencastify with my webcam only. And I was like, hey, I'm Miss Orts. This is what I look like. I'm so sorry I'm missing you. You know, and often we have those kiddos that don't make it to open house before school starts. So why not make a quick screencast and then shoot it in an email to those kids and say, hey, I'm sorry I missed you, but this is what I look like. And on the first day, I can't wait to see you. Look for me, you know, waving down the hallway. And I think that kind of helps with some of that fear too. If you have a kid that's new to the school, they're not sure who they're looking for. They're not sure, you know, what this person's going to be. You just make this quick video and then you send it to them, and you know, the siblings see it, mom and dad see it, everybody gets to see it. So it's kind of like a cool way to make that home school connection.
Yeah, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. I hadn't thought of that one at all. Nice idea. All right, Melissa, I love that you're going to talk about students using Screencastify, because why are we only thinking about this as a tool that adults and educators are going to use? So talk about that.
Okay, and it's so easy because I had my third graders do it. So, you know, we download them and they put the extension on their in their Google, and I had kids like explaining their e-portfolios. My kids were making e-portfolios, so he was walking through the e-portfolio telling us about it, and I sent this video out to you know, my principal and his parents. Look what Gary's working on. And so it was a way for him to showcase his learning. And you know, if there were mistakes in his video, like he was, or in his e-portfolio, he could call them out. He was like one part he says, that shouldn't be there, that's a bug, and I'm going to get rid of it as soon as I get off of this video. And so he was able to find his mistakes as well. And also, kids, I had kids using just the webcam, just recording, you know, they had a whiteboard and they were just reteaching how they solved a particular problem. And they would want to go in the hallway. And I remember them setting up like with a chair and had their Chromebook on the end, and they were recording themselves.
So
and, you know, I'd go and check on them, and they were like, oh, we're almost done, Miss Summerford. And
so
kids are walking,
kids
are walking by saying, what are y'all doing? I want to do that.
That's so cool.
But they were really taking pride and ownership in what they were doing, because they were producing something, you know, for themselves, and they were doing it. They were doing their own directions on how they wanted to do it.
Right. And so other people might see too.
Yeah, and I think that's what made them want to do their best, because they knew it was going to be sent out to other people.
That's a great idea. I mean, sometimes we don't think about how often we evaluate written work. Like, Melissa, I know you taught math, and Jessica and I taught English. And Carrie, what'd you teach before you taught the technical class? You taught everything. So we don't think about it, but almost always the work we're evaluating is work that has been written down either on a piece of paper or typed up in a document or whatever. But you know, you ever think about this? We're evaluating then what happens between here and here. We're not evaluating what happens here. So if you want to evaluate this, you can't always rely on this connection. So sometimes you have to give kids a different way to be evaluated. And most kids are better at saying their thoughts than they are at writing or transcribing those thoughts. So for most people, that's cutting out one part of that equation that we end up evaluating that we don't think we're evaluating. We think we're evaluating what happens in here, but we're not. So let kids explain, like Melissa was talking about, explain why they did the math problem that way, or say their story instead of writing it down. Because if you're really trying to evaluate thinking, then it makes a lot more sense to differentiate, to use Carrie's earlier $10 word, than it does to always do writing.
And can I just say one thing about that?
Yeah. Cool.
I hear a lot when I say things like that to teachers. They say things to me in response like, yeah, but on the test they can't speak that, or they can't record themselves. They have to be able to write it. And I agree. I agree that the end result should be our kids have to be able to write it. But in the meantime, how do we move them there? And just like you said, getting those ideas started, that's where the writing process starts, is getting those ideas on paper. And if you can get them to talk it through, then you can go back and listen to it. And as you're listening to it, you can start writing things down and organizing your thoughts on paper. It's such a powerful tool that we're overlooking, because a lot of folks see or hear the idea and they stop at, well, we can't test them that way, so why would we do that in class?
You're so right, Jessica.
Yeah.
I do hear that.
Since when do you start the very first day you try to learn something with doing it the way that you're going to ultimately be able to do it? I mean, let me go ahead and whip up a couture gown the day that I learned how to sew. That's not how it works. You start small, you scaffold, and this can be a way to do that. So yes, we got to keep preaching these lessons here. All right, Carrie, tell us about read alouds, and then I have something to say about that too. That's a great idea.
Okay, so when I was teaching elementary guided reading, we'd have to gather so many read alouds and running records every 6 weeks or 9 weeks, whatever it would be, and I would always run out of time. And I was like, how can I get these and then look at them later? And so Screencastify, and the kids love it because they think they're on an episode of Reading Rainbow. And I did show my kids Reading Rainbow, so they knew what it was. And so they literally just like held up the book and they read it, and they thought they were doing Reading Rainbow, but I was actually getting a running record because I would just play them, check, check, check. And it was a cool way to share them with parents too. Like, hey, at the beginning of the school year, they're reading this level of book. Now at this part of the school year, they're reading this level of book. And then the parents can also send them to grandparents and so forth. And so it's kind of like this cool, like little treasure chest that you're building throughout the year. And academically, you have running records. You can see their levels. If another teacher, like the speech teacher or maybe the dyslexia teacher, needs to see those videos, you just share the whole folder with them, and bam, you've got it done. So,
wow, that's a great idea, Carrie. I've never thought about that.
It is.
But sometimes I know sometimes teachers have to do multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. What I was thinking about when I read that was something completely different, but it made me think of it. When I worked in Conroe ISD, I worked with a pair of teachers, one second grade teacher and one sixth grade teacher. I think I have the grades right. And what they did is they paired their students up together, and the sixth grade students would actually read a book aloud to the camera. And then they were paired up with a second grade student who received that reading of that book. And they would, do you remember this project, Jessica? Did you ever know about this when it was going on?
No.
Well, what ended up happening was the sixth graders would have to practice reading this book over and over again. So they were gaining fluency, and they were reading with inflection and all this kind of stuff. And then the second graders, this was their kid. I got to go when they had their Christmas party, and their Christmas party was done over Skype, so that the kids who had been reading the books and the kids who had received the videos could see each other. And they were singing Christmas carols together. And these sixth graders who thought they were so cool were singing Christmas carols with their little second grade buddies. And it was so freaking cute.
Amy, do you remember the reading project we did in Huntsville ISD?
Yes, I sure do.
So on that same kind of concept, using Screencastify would have been perfect for this.
Yes.
We had in Huntsville, we had paired up with a couple of elementary school teachers, mostly kindergarten teachers, some pre-K teachers. And then we went around the community and recruited, like for instance, Sam Houston State University is in Huntsville. We got the Sammy the Bearcat to read a book. Now, he doesn't actually make noise. He can't talk while he's in costume, but he held the book and made some gestures while we had a teacher reading, and the kiddos had the book in front of them, and they're able to play, pause, and stop and listen to the book being read by somebody that's really interesting. We had veterinarians read books about animals. We had one of the pre-K center assistant principal he's a very popular figure in the district. Mm-hmm. And he read a book, very animated reading of that book, Pete the Cat. And we had such good response to that project. And I left the district before I saw it really go very far, but Screencastify was perfect for that, using the webcam feature.
That was so fun, such a fun project. And yeah, you could do that now in such a much technically easier way than we were able to do it back then.
Oh yeah. I mean, imagine getting Olivia Watt to read a sports book to fifth grade.
Wouldn't that be cool? I remember, Jessica, you made little sticks. You had popsicle sticks, and on the top of the stick there were the play, pause, and stop buttons.
Yeah.
So that they could hold it up, and you would tell the kids, okay, stop the video now and answer the question or whatever. Remember that?
Yeah, we were trying to incorporate digital literacy skills as well. So we were trying to teach the students, the littlest people, about when to pause and look at your book and write down your thoughts. And then when you're ready, we just push play. Man, I wish I had thought about this before. I would have pulled that video up of Pete the Cat, because that was a really good.
Yeah. Albert Archuleta, he did such a great job with that. Yeah, such a local celebrity.
The reason Amy remembers the popsicle sticks is because I can't stand touching popsicle sticks. And I touch them.
It's a balsa wood phobia. It's for real.
I mean, it makes me just cringe. It's terrible.
It's the weirdest thing.
Now you all know something about me.
Yeah, it's really like if you ever want to scare Jessica, just bring out some balsa wood.
I mean,
I gotta see this. I gotta see it.
Don't worry, Melissa. I'll hook you up.
I'm gonna put one in my purse, Jessica. Sorry.
We can record it with a Screencastify.
Yes, definitely. Webcam only.
Yes.
All right, Carrie, talk us through solving written problems.
So, Amy, you totally talked about this a few minutes ago.
Oh,
so sometimes we have that. No, not. Sometimes we have that disconnect. Like when a kiddo's working a math problem, they hand us the piece of paper, like you said, and we say, well, how did you get there? And they go, I don't know. So having that ability for them to actually show and say, okay, first I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. And you're like, oh, I know why you got it wrong. You missed step number 4. That's the step you're missing. You don't have to be retaught the whole concept. You're just missing this one step. So I think it provides, like Amy said, a unique opportunity to see their thinking, and then you're getting from their head to the brain cells, then to the paper. So you're getting that unique little perspective. And I think sometimes kiddos, we think they don't know anything about a concept. Well, sometimes they do. They're just missing a few little spots here and there. So if they can record their thinking, then we can help them a lot easier and quicker. So,
well, another thing that would have happened to me and Jessica too is that our teacher would have realized before it was too late that we didn't have any idea what was going on. Because that was totally me too. Like I had no idea how to do it, but I mean, I wasn't going to tell anyone. I'm just going to sit there until they move past this, and never realizing, oh, math builds upon itself and you never get to move past it. So yeah, I was an English major, but who knows what could have happened. All right. Jessica, tell us about dubbing a video. That's a creative idea. I have not seen this done before and had not really thought about it until
full disclosure, the dubbing part of it is not my idea. I just snatched it up because I thought it was so great and I wanted to kind of expand on it. So Carrie and Melissa, if one of you guys put this idea down,
I'm currently making one, but I keep messing up because I want it to be perfect.
Oh, yeah,
so as soon as I have it 87% perfect, I'm going to post it.
So here's the concept. You have a video playing, perhaps just a clip of a video, a few seconds, 30 seconds. And instead of like recording the audio of that video, instead your students can record over and just mute the video, and they're going to be dubbing it, and perhaps they're doing it in a foreign language. And so you're having them practice their skills, and it's kind of novel. It's kind of an exciting way to have your students translating things. So they're practicing their speaking skills. They're probably having a lot of fun doing it because, making videos is really fun, but sometimes the making of the video takes over the curriculum learning. And so take that part of it out and just have them dubbing over. And now they're going to have a really interesting little project that the teacher can listen to and evaluate.
That's a cool idea. I like it. All righty. Melissa, talk to us about using this for video news and announcements.
Okay. Well, like I said, the principal I told you who's my friend, Kelly. I'm telling you, she's on fire. She figured out a way to make her morning announcements. So she'll use Google Slides, and she has the kids with her. Like she goes through the whole announcement. They're doing a pledge together. They're doing a Texas pledge together, and the kids are right there, and she's making the screencast with them. And then she puts it out for the school. And she's doing this every day, Monday through Thursday, because I believe they have morning assembly on Friday. And I think she's gotten fast at it, and she's really enjoying it, she said.
That is dedication, though. That
it is, but she
daily practice of that.
Yeah, she's been on fire. She's the one who I showed how to use Autocrat, and now she's using it for her staff. And I think she even taught another principal how to use it. So
wow.
She's just on fire, that girl.
I love hearing about principals like that who love technology so much because, I mean, you just see it in the whole staff, don't you?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, she is. And her staff is embracing it more as well because they see her doing that.
That's so great to hear.
Mm-hmm. So well, before we move to the next topic, Amy, can I just say one more thing?
Yes, please.
So I was actually going to try to share my screen. I'm scared to do it because, I can't.
Do it.
I'm going to try, everybody. You're going to be my little witnesses here. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. So we were talking earlier about recording your lessons, and that sounds great and everything, but sometimes it's like, well, where would a video fit in my lesson? And so this is an example that I just wanted to pull up that I've been using recently. normally I would give this slide deck to my students and I would want them to go through and read the content and be responsible for it afterwards. And they would have to rely on tools like Read and Write to give them audio support or language support or whatever. But as we were talking about in the chat earlier, there's like an element, a personalized element that's kind of lacking. You know, it's kind of cold and not, you know, there's no connection to your teacher or to the content. So instead of just embedding regular videos you found online that are maybe tutorial videos or something, embed yourself talking about the slides with your students. And then you can put them in. Can you guys see slide 2 here?
Yes.
There's a video embedded on this slide. It's way down here in the corner. It's super tiny. And I just have it set to autoplay. And it's me talking about what I would be talking about on this slide, almost as if I'm giving, I wouldn't say lecture because it's not lecture based, but it's more like giving them wait time while they read and then saying, okay, so what are you thinking about this? And what are your thoughts about what you're going to do with this information? How are we going to use it next? Go to the next slide and we'll talk more about that part. And so in a blended classroom where you're having students work independently and at their own pace, this would be a great way to ensure that they're getting good quality instruction, but you're utilizing just the webcam feature or even the screencast feature from Screencastify to talk through the slides for your kids and kind of navigating them through.
Jess, I love this idea. Show the format options on that little tiny video before we move on from here so that you can show what you mean by you have it set to autoplay.
So here's my video. And when you click on a video, my screen's kind of small. Let me just right click on it. I can right click on it and go to format options, or if I double click on it, it'll be in my menu bar at the top. But format options, and then see how my video is still highlighted in blue. Under the video playback, I have the option right here, and you can't see it because I got my screen all smushed up, but there's an autoplay button and you just select that. And so now whenever my students look at my video, let me squish it back down, make it real tiny. I make it small so it doesn't, that's not the point of the video. The point is to do audio narration on the slide content, not to watch a video of the slide. So I make it really small. And now when my students go to present mode, can you still see it? I just made my screen big.
Yep, we're seeing it. It's loading.
The Applied Digital Skill Curriculum brings together digital skills and practical life skills to develop unique projects.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's just talking about really my speaker notes or my teacher notes or what I would normally be teaching with my students, putting it in there at autoplays, and I share it with them in presentation mode so that when they click on it, it's already there and it starts to play for them.
Very cool. And there is a video on our YouTube channel that shows how to do that in detail. And I think it's called, narrated slides. I think if you search narrated slides, friEdTechnology, you'll find that. And Jessica, you're the person who told me about that technique. And I just think it's a brilliant idea. I use it all the time now too.
Yeah. And you know, I always think about it in terms of video, getting videos from other places or whatever. And when we're talking about Screencastify is the tool to do those things, to make those things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using videos from other people, why not make them yourself? Then you can make it be exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Well, Carrie, I can't wait for you to tell us more about the Screencastify certification that you just did and the new features that have come out that you have recently learned about, the ones you were telling me about right before we started this video.
Yes. So I went on the Screencastify website and they have a little 1 hour course to become a Screencastify master. So I just sat down last night and I just knocked it out and I learned so much. I've used Screencastify for a long time, but sitting there through the tutorial kind of sparked some interest. And so and made me think of some new ideas like that running record thing. So one of the things that is new is video commenting. So whenever you open a Screencastify inside your Google Drive, you now have the option, a black bar comes up on the right-hand side, and you can add comments to that video. So if you have a student that shares a video with you, instead of just talking to them and not having really a way to communicate with them, you can just open up the comments inside of Google Drive and you can add comments to them and y'all can have a discussion back and forth on the video. I love that. That's with the free version. Now, with the paid version, there is some new stuff that's really, really cool. So in the past, whenever I recorded Screencastify videos and I wanted to edit them, I always thought, oh, I'm just editing this one video that I just recorded. Well, Screencastify now gives you the option. There's a little drive symbol. You click that symbol and you can pull in multiple videos from your Google Drive and edit them and smush them all together.
What?
Yes.
Right?
So potentially you could do like a web cam only, like, hey, this is Miss Orts, what's going on? And then you smush in another video of you like screencasting and showing them like a Google slide or something. And so the editing tool is available on your computer, and then you can also go to editor.screencastify.com to also use it. So there's two different ways to use it. You can use it from the extension or go to the website. And then another cool feature on the editor is you can pause your video and you can crop part of the video so that you can zoom in to like maybe one section, and then it crops it, and that's just what the screen shows. So I know that's hard to explain, but there are links on our agenda, and I think if you see it, you will like really appreciate it and know how amazing it is.
I like these technical terms like crop and smush.
Well, you know, that's all me, super techie today.
Oh, she did use differentiation as well.
I hate that word. It's so hard. I used to make the audience say it. I'm like, what's that word when we talk about? Yeah. And then the last tool, which is a paid tool, which I'm also in love with, which is on our agenda right now. And okay, we're going to have a dispute here. I call it a GIF. Maybe you call it a GIF. I call it a GIF, like peanut butter. But like when we're posting stuff on social media, so I don't want to post a whole video. I want to quickly make a GIF so that it just rotates and shows over and over again. So I think they're super fun. It's a good way just to show kids, hey, these are the 3 steps you need to take really quickly. And then it plays in a constant video, and you can post that on Google Classroom. Sometimes I put GIFs inside a Google Doc, and I'm like, hey, guys, I need y'all to do this. Thank you for putting the GIF symbol. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And if y'all look at our friEdTechnology social media, we have tons of GIFs on there because it's just a good way to show kids repetition and to quickly learn something that just has a few steps to it.
Well, and you know what's cool is that you can't put video content in docs, at least not in any way that I'm aware of, but you can put GIFs in your docs.
Yes.
So if you're trying to make a step-by-step instructional sheet, or you're trying to give kids like some directions, having the GIFs kind of embedded here and there in the document is going to make it so much of a better tool.
Well, and like the elementary writing teacher in me is like, oh my gosh, you write an amazing paper and then you do a beginning, middle, and GIF, like to narrate.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Dash to your Google Doc, like hello. So,
yeah, that's a really good idea. Okay, so I've been adding some things to the document while Carrie was talking that you guys might want to go back to later. Like I put a link there for the Screencastify Master Screencaster course. I'm looking right now for this link. I haven't found it yet, but I'll put it here in just a minute. Screencastify is building a database of lessons. And if you put in a lesson, Carrie, am I getting this right? Is it 90 days free?
Oh, don't get me lying. Hold on.
I think it's 90 days that you get free from Screencastify if you contribute a lesson.
And you get the glory to say your lesson is on Screencastify.
Right. They are vetted. They're actually watching the lessons that people submit. And if yours is accepted, then you get, I'm pretty sure it's 90 days free, but hopefully Carrie will find it here before we're done. And we'll put that link in there for you too. So don't miss that opportunity. And I mean, if you're paying for it, you know, you want to contribute because, I mean, really, Screencastify is so inexpensive. It's just kind of unbelievable what you get for the price. It's like
$2 a month.
$2 a month? Yeah. I mean,
for the public version, it's $24 a year.
Yeah. I mean, they're really committed to that too. It's something that we talked about when we started talking to them about a professional development partnership. They were like, you know, a lot of the schools we work with, they're spending their whole budget on Screencastify because they're a really small school and they're committed to this. And so we really love that about them. They're going to make sure that this is available to every educator, which is super cool.
It is 90 days free, Amy.
Awesome. Did you find that link, Carrie, for that contributing a video?
I did not.
I know it's in our.
We'll find it before we get off completely tonight.
All right.
Does anybody have Screencastify's billable US address? There's in the chat, somebody's asking about it so they can get them set up as a vendor for the district. Do you guys have a contact or have that info?
You know what? If that person will email us at information@friEdTechnology.com, we'll put them right in contact with the exact person they need to talk to at Screencastify.
All right. You hear that, Sharon? That's for you.
Information.
Sharon screamed too, she said. Yeah.
She what?
She screamed when she heard about the smushing option.
I love it. I love Sharon. Carrie, you're the one, I think, who found this Screencastify ebook too.
It is so amazing, everybody. I don't even know how I stumbled across it, but I think I look at it like once a day and I'm like, oh. So I totally stole that dub video idea from there because I think it's so amazing. Definitely go check that Screencastify ebook link on our agenda and bookmark it because you're just going to want to keep going back to it more and more. It's just a great resource. Like it's 50 different ways to Screencastify, and it gives you a little rundown of how to do it. Some of them have example Screencastify for you as well. So if you maybe have like a coworker that's hesitant to use Screencastify, or they're like, I don't get it, what's the point? Send them that link and have them look at it, and then they're going to jump on board immediately.
Okay, Matt Miller, Eric Kurtz. I mean,
yeah, they're rock stars on there.
I'm seeing some names in here. These are big people. This is a great resource.
Oh, it is. It is a great resource.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Definitely do not want to miss that one. All right. Well, it is time for us to give you the code for the certificate, and I am going to plop it in the chat. So if you watched tonight, then you see the fill out this form link that is in the document, and I am about to type it into the chat right now.
The form is needs permissions turned on, FYI.
Okay.
And thanks, Efren, for pointing that out.
Yes, thanks, Efren. So it's there, and you won't be able to fill out the form unless you have that code. It's going to be the very first question that's there. And let me go take a look at it, and because obviously I have done something wrong to it. I don't know how I did that. It's the same form we used last time.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only person who makes that silly mistake.
But I don't see anything wrong with it, actually. So can you all test it for me? Let me put it in an incognito window. And
I also got the you need permission.
Weird.
Totally weird.
That's very annoying. All right, well, let me try that one more time. Got to get you guys permission. It's not restricted. So let me just, I don't know. Here, I'm going to share it with y'all so you can look at it. You guys who need to fill out this form, just hang tight. We will, even when we get offline, we'll still keep working on this and make sure that you get your credit. So Jess, I'm going to give you collaborator on it right now so you see if you can see what's wrong with it, because I am not seeing it. Okay. You're going to look at it for me?
Yeah, I sure am.
Just now. What account are you in?
I'm in my friEdTechnology account.
Okay. All right, please look at it, and y'all write down that code, and yeah, there it is. I did put the code in correctly. That is correct. So as soon as we get this fixed, you'll be able to fill out that form and you will get your certificate. So thanks so much, you guys, for joining us tonight. And thanks to Carrie and Jessica and Melissa for coming up with so many great ideas for how to use Screencastify. And I think, honestly, I think we probably created the best database there is of ideas for how to use Screencastify tonight. So I'm pretty proud of us. Are y'all pretty proud of yourself?
Yes. Add those to the 50 book.
Yeah, bring it.
Book reopen, please, right now.
50 plus fried ways to
That's
use
right.
Screencastify.
That's a new book. It's a new book idea. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll get that form fixed for you so you can get your credit. And I will see all of you ladies soon. Have a good evening.
Somebody had the link in the document. I just pasted a new link. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.